Alright, here's a little video on how to solder up these power poles here. So first you want to make sure you got everything. I'm going to be soldering up these two, just soldering up an extension to use with a new charger I got. So in your case you'll have a battery, but this is about the same gauge wire that you would probably use that'll be on your battery. Let's see if we can zoom in here. So there's those, and these are the connectors right here, and this is the contact. Zoom in on that. And there's two ways to actually do these. You can there's a crimping tool you can actually buy where you wouldn't have to solder them at all, but it's pretty expensive. I think the official ones it's something like it's like $150 or something, but I think there's a new one out that's only about $50, but I just solder mine, and I haven't had any problems with it. This is one of my packs, and right here. Yeah, okay, so and then make sure you got your solder here. I use this Novak solder, and kind of forgot all the specs on it, but it's for like racing electronics. It's actually got some silver in it that makes a better conductivity. So usually I just pull out a little bit like that, and then this is really helpful right here. This is debraiding, desoldering braid, and it's just this, I guess it's copper, I don't know, it looks copper, but it's just this braid stuff, and if you over solder a point, you can just heat it up and kind of run this across it, and it'll soak it up, so you don't have to undo everything. Makes it easy to pull off a little bit if you have too much solder on there. And these are just wire cutters, always helpful. And then this is the stripper. So, oh wait, one more thing. This little guy right here, they're super helpful. I don't know if you have any means of getting one. I got this at Harbor Freight. I'm not sure. If you got one of those, it's a really cheap place to get some tools and stuff. I got it for like $4, but basically it's just a little just a metal base with a rod coming off. It actually had a magnifying glass with it too that I took off. But the main part is it's got these little clamps with these little alligator clips on it, so you can really clip up your wires and get everything situated, which makes it a lot easier to solder. And then soldering iron. This is a Hobbyco. It's a 60-watt soldering iron. I don't know if you can see that or not. And the tip, I use these flat tips. As you can see, it's got a pretty flat tip on it. It's not really focusing, but anyway, yeah, just a flat tip. You'll get better heat transfer, and it just makes it go a lot quicker, because with the sharper tips you have to leave the soldering iron on a lot longer, and you run the risk of melting up your insulation or anything like that. So it makes it a lot easier. First you want to make sure your tip's pretty clean, and let me zoom out here. I've got this little guy right here. It's a little soldering gun holder. You've got this little sponge, and you want to make sure you get that good and wet. And after you solder, each time you use it, just wipe it off on here. But you definitely want to keep the tip as clean as you can. This one's pretty clean. Usually what I do, I'm not sure if it's even recommended or not, but I'll just take a little piece of high grit sandpaper, maybe like 320 or so, and just rub off and scrape off all that all the whatever it's called, oxidation, I guess. Anyway, so let's get started here. That's kind of the intro. So I'll do the red wire first, and this is about the cheapest wire stripper you can get, and this is 16 gauge wire. So I found on this one, if you set it to the actual gauge, You probably can't see it on here, but there's little gauge marks on this little wheel here. And if you set it on the 16, I found that it's usually not tight enough. But we'll start on 16 and kind of see how well that goes. You just want to strip off, basically. Let me grab this measuring thing. Zoom in here. This little thing's great. It's just this little E-flight deal. And you just want to strip off enough. Looks like about right around 8 or 9 millimeters. Just enough so that the wire can go all the way into the contact without the any of the wires sticking out. So kind of just let me move up here. Let's see. So yeah, about right there. Doesn't have to be perfect. Anyway, come in here and just strip this off and kind of twist it around in there, and there it comes. It's alright if it pulls off a little bit of the wiring, and then I usually just pick at it like this to make sure all the loose braids are taken care of, and then you can just kind of twist it up so it's a little easier to work with. So sorry if this is too basic. I figured I'd just make a real thorough one in case anybody else wanted it. So hopefully this goes well. I actually just got to where I've gotten pretty good at soldering these, but anyway, if you've got one of these little deals, let me zoom out in here now. That's really good right there. Usually what I'll do is I'll take the contact and I'll slide the wire in, and this is actually a little bit bigger, but it's okay. And usually I'll take this and I'll clamp on, take the alligator clamp, and I'll zoom in on this because this helps a lot if you get this just right. But I'll take the alligator clamp and I'll kind of put half of it on the insulation and the other half on the contact, so it almost kind of holds it on there. And it's a little thin, so it's not quite doing it right. If not, you can just kind of hold it so it leads up. So yeah, it's not going to clamp on both because the wire's a little thin. Usually your battery, it's going to be a 12 gauge wire. This is 16, so it's a little smaller. But so I'm just going to clamp it into there, and then I'm going to use this other one and use this. Let me zoom out so you can see that. I'm going to take this other clip and clip it on the other end of the wire, and now it's pretty much holding that wire right in that contact pretty well. So now here's the soldering part, and basically the idea is you're going to take your soldering iron and make sure you got a good clean tip, and what you don't want to do is that was hot. Anyway, yeah, try not to burn yourself. You're going to want to hold it right here on the tip. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see that a little better. And try and center it up here. There we go. It's not the best camera. Anyway, you're going to want to hold it right here, and you're going to right there at the tip of where the wire goes into the contact, and just let that heat up for a minute. And what you're going to want to do, I'll try not to block it, is take your solder and just kind of rub it on the tip of the iron, and it'll start to melt. And you get it in there, and see how it, once it kind of goes between the soldering iron and the contact, you'll see it'll kind of start to pull in there. So you just back it off and then just keep feeding the solder in there, and just keep the heat on it and it'll suck in there.